Okay, hi everyone. I hope you can hear me well. So we are all super excited to welcome you here tonight on the first session of the Blue Factory Start Online program this semester. Thank you so much for all your applications, for taking the time to record the videos. We watched them carefully and we really cannot wait to get to know you and your projects better. And yeah, by saying we, I mean our amazing Blue Factory team in both Paris and Berlin campus. So not sure if all of you are aware, but the ECP Blue Factory Incubator is actually physically present on both campuses, so in Paris as well as in Madrid. And now I would like to quickly welcome all my colleagues, starting from the Paris campus. So we have Maeva, the head of the Blue Factory. Maeva, if you could, yeah, that's Maeva. And then we have Manuela. Manuela, you can, yeah, say hello. Okay, perfect. And we have our new member of the Blue Factory, Abby, who joined us recently. So warm welcome from Paris. And now the Berlin. So we have the Chloe. Chloe, make some noise. Then we have Ayush. And yeah, Ayush. Perfect. And then my name is Agnieszka. And so we are all super happy to be with you tonight. But yeah, now before passing to Manuela, who will then briefly explain you what is going to happen tonight, I would like to quickly ask all of you to put the full name and the surname and possibly the name of your project, if you have already one, so that in the second part of this workshop, we can easily divide you into the smaller breakout rooms. Yeah, so that would help a lot. So thank you so much. And now I'll pass to Manuela.
Can you change the slide? Hello everyone, so pretty happy to see you and see all your faces. If you can put like a picture or just put your webcam, it would be super nice. I will just start with saying what is the StartOnline mission. In general, the Blue Factory mission is to, and especially on this program, is to demystifying preconceived ideas about entrepreneurships. You are all at the idea and prototype stage, so the main focus is on you, and it's really to know you more and see what your ideas are. It's also guiding you in your entrepreneurial journey, so really to help you in this path that you decided to take, and then to connect you in a relevant way with all the resources that we have at the Blue Factory, so you can move forward in your project. And then I will go to the next slide. Agnieszka, if you can. Yes, perfect. And okay, so for today program, so we will start with a conference. It's more like a presentation about demystifying entrepreneurship, which will be done by Maeva. Then we will have 5-minute breaks, and then we have divided you in 10 groups regarding your project, the sectors, and the connection we can make in between all of you, because I don't know if you know, but you are almost 70 participants, and you are all from different countries and places, so it's really international program. And then you will be divided in subgroups to have this small conversation to know more about you and your projects and your ideas. And then we will go back to the main room for a quick debrief on this first session.
Cool, super. Let's go for it. Just picking one thing. Okay, cool. So very nice to have you all today. Thank you for trusting the Blue Factory for this StartOnline program. I was just discussing with in the subgroup that we just had, and saying that for us it's the 3rd edition, so it's pretty new still to have this program, but it's wonderful that you are all in many countries, from many programs. When we did the data, there are 80% of students, 20% of alumni, 15 different programs, so many countries. So thank you, welcome. And this first session is aimed at sharing with you what we've been learning during those 10 years of supporting entrepreneurs, and trying to give you a good routing for your entrepreneurial path, so that then we can all move forward together. So the kind of wisdom of entrepreneurship that we wanted to share you with within this first session is built on many metaphora and analogy to try to let you understand a bit of the origin of the mystery of what it is to create something new. The first thing is really taking a step back and trying to understand what it is to create, what it is to be able to create something new, and what it is to be, in fact. Because as a creator, you are first of all a human being that gets ideas and that try to make them happen. And in fact, the reality is that building a company, it's a bit like being a human being that is growing. And everything that you need, you have it within yourself. Usually, often when we meet entrepreneurs, we realize that they are really worried about, okay, I need a co-founder, I need money, I need to learn that or this, and etc. But the reality is that you are exactly the same than this seed. And by the way, I love to make a guess about, can you guess what type of seed it is? Do we have some green hands in the room? If you have, I can check on the chat. I'm checking. I think I don't see any answers yet. As you see, there is a rule you can check. It's like something like a 1 centimeter seed. Any guess? You are so shy.
Sorry, what was the question?
Chloe, a bean. Oh, you're nice, Chloe, to play with me. Thank you. The question is, what is, if you plant this seed, what do you have? Avocado? Peas? No. Okay. Oh, Gauthier. How do you know that? Gauthier won. Bravo. So strong. Yes, this is a baobab seed. So can you imagine that within this 1 centimeter seed, you have the future of baobab. So baobab, it's 2,000 years old. It can last until 2,000 years. It can make 40 meters high. It can make 10 meters circumference. So it's just absolutely crazy that within this thing, you have the whole data, information, and power to build such a huge tree, long lasting. Of course, it will grow because of the sun, the water, the earth, the interaction with so many insects and whatever. But there is this intelligence within this little seed. And so there is the same thing for you as a human being. If at some point you have to create something, there will be in you everything that you need. So stop in your entrepreneurial path, make sure that you are looking the power within, rather than always thinking I need something externally. And of course you will need some elements externally, but not for the first step. So that's the first thing to understand, is that it's something that is from within, going like from inside going outside. So look for your inner creation power. Then of course you are not a tree, you are a human being. And so there is a little difference between you and the tree. Even though millions, billions years before, maybe you were a tree, is that you have a consciousness, and through this consciousness, you get ideas. You get a vision of things that could be in the future. But something to understand is that you are not creating the ideas. You are not at the origin of the idea. You receive the idea. It's kind of as if you were a radio, a radar that is able to capture information. And so whenever you are, there is ideas coming to you, first of all, be sure that other people are also having the same radar, and receiving the same ideas. And so this is often we meet entrepreneurs who are really like shy, they're afraid that someone will steal their idea. They have the impression that, you know, this is their precious thing and that they shouldn't tell about it. The reality is that the idea in itself, this kind of blink intuition of the future, you don't create it, you receive it, and it could happen through you. But for it to go through you, you have to follow the path with it. And there aren't good ideas, there are only real ideas. And the real ideas are the ones that are kind of hidden in the present and that you will be aware of and follow. So don't become kind of trying to keep the idea, but try to be aware, to receive it in order to be able to follow its development and be a kind of the interface between the future and the present. Something else is that so often you can see when you have an idea, so many other people have an idea, but it doesn't mean neither that if so many people are having the same idea that you shouldn't go for it. Because the reality is that what counts, maybe you've already heard about kind of investors, for instance, when they invest on projects, in the end, they are not looking at the project itself. They are looking at the people behind, because they know that someone is always very special, and what comes from the inside of a person is very special. I put the image of this, comment on dit déjà le flocon de neige, à chaque fois j'oublie.
Snowflake.
Thank you. Every year I forget. Thank you, Abby. The snowflake, I don't know if you're aware of that, but you don't, there is no snowflake that is the same than another one. Like for the whole history of humanity and of mountains with snow, there are snowflakes that you never had the same snowflakes before, never. And each snowflake is unique. So there is some mystery of uniqueness within each of us. So don't bother comparing, don't bother trying to, don't bother trying to compare, bother trying to get what is inside outside, and just be and work on the path of your project. Money, you cannot eat money. This is again for those ones who are always really worried about raising money and will it be profitable and will I make money. The money in itself, it's you cannot plant money, you won't get any tree or apple from it. So it's really important to have the good perspective around money and to understand that money is just a mean in order to get something or in order to exchange something. So if you're like, okay, I'm doing my project and I'm looking for money, it doesn't mean anything neither for an investor, nor for an incubator, nor for no one. Instead, you may be needing to hire someone, or not even to hire someone, but to have a certain competency. Or let's say you want to organize something somewhere, you will need a place. And so the money will be to rent, to hire, to buy. And so first of all, really understand the difference between the money and what you try to get. And have in mind this bootstrapping philosophy, which is how could you get what you need by bootstrapping, meaning by doing a partnership or by exchanging it with someone. And it's this whole idea of being taking a step back from the money, and the end of this is this idea of effectuation. Some of you have been studying entrepreneurship, I know, and know the term of effectuation, but the one that doesn't know about effectuation, it's a very simple idea of doing things with what you have. So rather than thinking, okay, if one day I have this thing, I will be able to do something, it's okay, I open a box, I check what is inside, maybe I just go on the outside, see a friend and see if he can borrow me something. and then I build with it. So it's the example we use usually is about cooking, the difference between thinking what you need to go to the shop to cook and opening your fridge and seeing what you have and cooking. So really, if in your entrepreneurial path, you are really worrying about, do I have the thing, I need the money, I need to find it, and etc., free yourself from all these obligations and do with what you have right now. It's day and night. That's another thing, is that often entrepreneurs, they think they have some strengths and personality and that they're only good at some things. The reality is that as human beings, we have all the possibilities, like all the potential. We are able to be at the same time very good with facts and figures, very good with creativity and new ideas, very good with leadership. I mean, normally our DNA as human beings has this strength, but the reality is that we are slowly very conditioned, and we are just close to some of these possibilities. So this image of the Earth here, it's just to say that on Earth, in reality, it's never either night or day. It's always night and day all the time. So it's a bit the same in your competencies and capabilities. Maybe today, maybe for the moment in your life, it's only day on some of your capacity, but the reality is that the other parts are just in the shade, but it's not that you cannot do it. So of course, in the end, you are going to partner with people, to hire people. You will not do everything yourself. But there is a big difference between knowing that deeply you are able as a human being to understand and participate to every part of your business, or to think, okay, I am only good at marketing and communication. I am only good at financing. This is false. So it's super important to realize that, and so to free all your competencies within you, even though in the end you are going to take care of a certain part and to partner with others. But I think it's all a presentation about freeing yourself from preconceived ideas and limited vision. And finally, the same point than what when I was mentioning this seed, the seed of the baobab. If you think like you have this little seed of 1 centimeter, and in the end you have a huge tree of 2,000 years old and 40 meters high and etc. But from this little seed to the 40 meters baobab, you have 2,000 years old, and everything happened every second after every second. And the baobab, the little seed of the baobab, when the seed was, I don't know, one like 10 centimeters, it didn't have to think about, okay, how will I do in 5 years when I will have a new branch and etc. No, it only had, and it was very important to take care of what's happening right now. Is, do I have right now enough water, enough sun? Is there any problem with this fly running around me, and etc. So that's the same for you about your project. Maybe in your inner vision, you visualize something that is super complex and big and far, but what you are right now is something specific, and it is by step that the way will lead you to something that may look like your vision or may not. It's not important, because this is this idea that is flourishing through you, and what you have to take care of is these steps one after the other. So the bad news and the good news is that about one question that often we see in the StartOnline program, or for anyone that is starting a business, is, okay, I have many options, I need to choose, I need to plan, where do I start? Okay, tell me, how do I prepare myself? And so the good and bad news is that the only thing that you can do is to be right here, right now, and to take care of what you are doing now. It's impossible to start planning and organizing the next steps that you will do, because you are trying to build something new. If it's new, it has never been done before, and the only thing that you can observe is what it is now. So where do I start? You start here, which is pretty easy. I will go fast on these ones, but again, just really to emphasize what we propose on the StartOnline program is really to help you root yourself into this entrepreneurial way of creating. So there is no good or bad idea. We cannot answer this question. We cannot answer if what you the intuition you have, will it work? Will the business model will be successful? Will you be profitable, and etc. In reality, if anyone tells you there is an answer to this question, either he is lying or he's wrong. So that's really what we will do together here. That's why Manuela also emphasized in her email that we were supporting people more than project, because we know that the project itself will arise from people who are entrepreneurs, freed from preconceived ideas, and that are alive and able to follow a natural entrepreneurial path. So just to be clear on the fact that as we welcome you in the StartOnline program, we are super happy to have you there. We're going to do our best to share with you entrepreneurs' experience, resources, coach you in order for you to maybe free yourself from fixed scams about what you want to do, and let the creation arise from you. So it's much more than supporting a project. It's really helping you to become entrepreneurs. And yeah, so we hope that you are okay with this contract, and that the deal of this adventure of helping you to walk in the uncertainty of creation is good for you. And so welcome to the Blue Factory for this adventure. So the first thing, this is just for you to think, and you can spend some time tonight maybe to think about it. It's interesting for you to spend this little time just thinking about, okay, when was this moment or these moments where you felt this vital move of creation, and can you make the difference between the motivation that comes from the belly and the motivation that maybe comes from the head, which is super different. Like the creation comes from the belly, not from the head. And sometimes that's one of the problems of this fashionable time around entrepreneurship, is that today, as entrepreneurship is becoming kind of fancy, sometimes we think about, okay, I want to create something, but it's coming from the head. It's like, okay, I don't know, I want to be successful, or I want to be as strong as my dad or mom, or I want to be intelligent and clever. And this comes from here, rather than entrepreneurship is in fact something that is very organic, and there is kind of the necessity of creation that comes from you. So it's interesting to feel in your body where does come this movement, and can you reorient the energy from you, like, can it comes from the belly. So that's you can by, I don't know, drinking some tea tonight, or walking towards your home, have some moments to think about it. And usually we do subgroups on it, but we wanted to keep more subgroups for afterwards. So I will just leave this question flow for you, and you may have the opportunity to discuss it together. So I'll be going a bit more in detail on what I was mentioning before. So one question often is about, is my idea a good idea? And as I was saying, like, there is no possibility to answer this question. There is no good idea. There are only kind of intuitions, thoughts that come to you, and that you can then put into reality. So I guess that many of you have been are aware, or even have been trained about design thinking process. So for those who don't know it, you'll be able to find many information on the web about it. Something that is interesting to understand is that design thinking is only the consequences. It's only the consequence of studying how does someone create. So it means that someone that creates naturally will follow a path that looks like design thinking. So to wrap it up for someone who doesn't, those from you that don't know, so it's about observing around oneself a situation, being empathetic about the situation, so putting yourself in the foot of the people. Then you have this intuition of, okay, in this situation, when I am in the feet of these people, I imagine that this new solution could make the life of these people easier. So then you try it, you will prototype it. It means that you will create something that is super crappy, but that has the functionality of the solution you imagine. You will test it, and then you will observe the results. And again, you will observe, put yourself into the fit and iterate in order to not be into this theoretical perfect idea that you have, but putting your hypothesis practically on the ground. And something I think that is important just to have in mind. So there is no good idea. When you have an intuition, put it into reality and see how it comes, how it goes. And if you are interested in the design thinking process, keep in mind that the design thinking process, it's only kind of a simplified image of something that naturally anyone that create and make something new would do. So it means that this is the behavior of the creator that is first instinctive, natural, and then we can try to simplify it and present it with the design thinking process. But indeed, that's really what's happening. Whenever today you have some intuitions of solutions, I know that among you, there are a lot of people who didn't start trying anything. That's the only way. Put it into reality and be also free. Like, don't think, okay, I would like it to look like this solution or that solution. Be free to observe in reality what is happening, even though sometimes it's not what you were expected, or that's the only way to find something that is very valuable and new. Is my idea a good idea? Again, we cannot answer this question, but what we realize, like often, with this urgency of finding a solution very fast that is efficient and relevant and etc., often we have this tendency to put a too easy solution on a problem that indeed is much more complex. So be careful to really, really dive into the problem. And that's why also design thinking is an interesting methodology to really observe, try to understand and go level under level. So of course, this image, you imagine that if you have this, if it's broken, if your wall is broken like this, you will not paste it and it won't be a long-term solution. So often we realize that, again, entrepreneurs, they identify a problem, which is indeed a problem, and they want to have the solution right now. But this is just, I think, because, you know, there is this urge of having to say something, to present something, to pitch something. In reality, in order to find a real solution to a problem, you have to go deeper and deeper. So maybe if today you already identify a problem that really you feel is important, and you already have imagined the solution, and you are into this idea of, okay, how do I implement this solution? Maybe you can take this solution, put it aside, and ask yourself, did I really went deep enough into the problem, and did I really observe precisely why people are in this situation? And if I go deeper, in the end, at the root of the problem, is my solution not too superficial? Maybe yes, maybe not, I don't know. that's another way of kind of challenging your projects is, so as you may recognize it, this is the COVID virus. In order to know if your idea is the project you want to pursue is strong enough, one question you could ask yourself, which is a bit extreme, but can be real, is like, okay, if tomorrow there was another pandemic, would my project, would the problem I'm tackling and the solution I'm bringing, would it be, would I continue or would I leave it? Is there something essential in what I am building? Is it something that is really important, that counts, that's worth it? And that's also something we often see again in this fashion of entrepreneurship today. Too many people are in this mood of, okay, I have to create something, something has to exist, and there is kind of this craziness of creating things, but in the end, maybe just watching the flowers and staying on a couch can be nice, and maybe there is no need to create so many things. So it can be indeed extreme, because hopefully we won't live in a pandemic, war and other, but that's a bit still the reality of the world, of the world. The sustainability of it is also not to create things that are not necessary or useful. So that's a question to ask yourself. It's like, okay, if there was a big catastrophe in my life or in society, would I still think that what I am working on worth it? And to go a bit in this sense, you have so Plato, that you may know as a philosopher. He was saying that necessity is the mother of invention. And in fact, whenever again you are like trying to look for an idea or thinking if your idea is good, we were discussing it this morning with another class. In reality, again, I was saying at the beginning, it's not about having a good idea. It's about having a real idea, and real ideas come from reality. So if you are in a necessary mood, you will have the answer to your question. If you are with your bike that is totally broken and you need to go somewhere, in this situation, you have your mind that becomes your consciousness that is very aware, and the solution comes by itself, like it's kind of instinctive. So it's a bit the same while creating your project. Stay in this consciousness, awareness of the present, and with this subtlety of staying with what is necessary, essential, and then that's how things happen, rather than trying to bring so many ideas, concepts, and obligations that in fact are just noise in the path of your creation. So once you've set up this problem on which you want to build something. So once you've said, okay, this problem, it's a real problem. I've seen then on the ground that it really concerns people. It's also I've understood this problem sufficiently deeply, and I think also it's pretty essential. Then, when you want to test it, and it will be, I mean, it's not one step after the other. It's just a bit caricature for you to understand. The question is, okay, where do I start when I want to test and prototype my solution? So some of you may already know about what we call the MVP, and this image is very strong to like, I think it's a good image to remember what is a prototype. A prototype, it's not a simplified version of the perfect thing that you are imagining. It's A to Z, a complete potential solution that is super simple. So it can be paper and pen. The main example I have often, like, for instance, we had one of our former entrepreneurs. They wanted to create an application to put people in relation. What they did is that they took Excel sheets. They took the numbers of the people, and then they sent themselves some text message in order to connect people and find a way to let them meet in a certain place. I mean, they did everything in a very simple way in order to identify if the process they had imagined was really possible. So this is super important that for those of you that want to continue exploring a certain topic, and maybe if you are thinking, okay, maybe I should find a co-founder that is a tech co-founder, or maybe I should develop myself, the solution, and etc. If you can, first of all, really try to bring the solution you imagine in a very low-tech way. Even though it won't be technological, but maybe you can just call people on the phone and give them a meeting somewhere and see if it works. For instance, I'm thinking also about another entrepreneur. You will find a conference about it on our YouTube channel, Benoit Richard, when he created USOFleet. So it was 10 years ago, USOFleet, it's a platform, kind of a Uber for professionals. The first time what he did, so his idea, he was thinking about creating this taxi for high-end professionals, and he just find a taxi, find someone who was coming back from a trip and arriving at the airport in Roissy. He put them together, he put the one with the other in contact. The car would have to go and pick the guy. He took the RER, the metro, and he went there in order to make sure that both of them, they met. I mean, there was no code, no application, no Figma, no nothing. He just did it with this hand. So think about this super simple way of doing it. So one example, of course, it's always in design, but this is kind of a project of designers. They did it with pâte à modeler, which is this, the pastry for children where they play with it. And so that's the way they did the prototyping. So you can really use super simple objects. About this MVP, again, it's just an image for, maybe you know Où est Charlie? I don't know if Où est Charlie is very international, but that's a French book in which you have to find Charlie, who he has this red and white shirt. I don't know if you see him. He's hidden. So it's a bit what happened when you are looking for a co-founder. It's like, okay, I need to find a co-founder. Where is Charlie? And this is, again, a co-founder will arrive in your adventure at the moment where you need him or her. And the co-founder will arrive because you will have walked on the path and build stuff. And at the moment where you meet the co-founder, you can see that you've been building something and he wants to join. So for those of you who are thinking about, I need a co-founder, really ask yourself, are you sure? Why are you saying that? Is it because you are afraid? You think you won't be able to do it? Is it because you didn't do this work of seeing how you can build a very low-tech solution just to test, and that you are really, you would love to, I don't know, be a baobab before being a seed, and so instead of doing step after steps, you are blocked because you would like to be already 3 years grown once you are only small. So don't block yourself with this co-founder, looking for a co-founder, and really see how you can start moving ahead. And then if you look for a co-founder, it's also it's easy. I don't know, it's a bit like how to find a lover, but it is about speaking about what you do around you, maybe with a LinkedIn post, maybe going on platform. We will share with you some resources on which you can find platforms for events or to share some founders ask. By the way, someone recently asked me if I could share the fact that he's looking for a co-founder to create a new train line in France. So if any of you wants to participate in building the new innovative train line, there is a spot for a co-founder. the man seems to be very expert on the topic. So here it is one of the way to share a co-founder possibility. Yeah, so as you see, we are going through many topics, but it's just to unlock all of this topic, and then we will have time to go deeper according to each of your interests on this. About building the minimum viable product, we have Chloe that is in our team of Blue Factory. So she has been building this digital wallet, which is a website that we will share it. I know at the end of the presentation, maybe we can already give just the URL in the chat. Chloe, do you want to say a word about it? I don't know if Chloe is here. Okay, let's say I will say a word for her. It's super simple. It's like she gathered the different good resources that she believes are good for especially prototyping. But there will be also a session in the third session. We will have an entrepreneur that will be very pedagogical about how he builds his product, and like he will share with you all the different steps of prototyping. And in the end, of course, today he has a strong project, so he will be able to show it to you. But today you have many no-code tools. You have many solutions that I remember, I would say 15 years ago, to build a website, it would cost you, I don't know, between 10 to 20K. It was very long, super hard to update. Today, you have so many free websites or very cheap ones that allow you to fake, or not even fake, like to build a super easy solution. So we will share these resources, but again, you don't need neither to train yourself about being a tech or find a co-founder, except if your solution is super tech, but then this is another story. So your homework will be to think about, okay, do I have really thought about the simplest way to test, to make my solution in the super low-tech way in a week? Did I really do that, or am I kind of dreaming about this super idea of having a digital product, and so I'm not doing the steps in order to really test? And often that's also because I don't want to be disappointed by the answer, but how can I build a super easy MVP? And I hope that's also something you will be able to discuss in the subgroup that we are preparing for you just after this discussion. About the business model, so I'm putting again this image, but that's really really important about the money. We were also discussing that with another class today, which is there is today we think that we need first the money and then we will build something, but this is really the contrary. In reality, you will create something and this thing will be sold, and of course the first version will be as advanced as you can do it at the moment where you are. So it will depend. If you have been working for some time and that you have some money, maybe you will have personal money so that you can prototype something that is pretty advanced. If you are less, if you have less resources, then it will be a bit less strong. But this is not a problem. It's normal that what you will build will evolve and the value of it will grow also. So for any of you that are really in this mind of, okay, I need first to find the money, this is really the contrary. And a good example, it's when you grow, when a tree is growing, it's because the apple is growing and then you can sell the apple. But you first have to create something. So see what you can create. We're again in this effectuation mood that I was mentioning at the beginning. What do I have right now around me that I can propose, and then the movement is going on, and that's also connected to another thing that maybe I didn't thought about sharing it today, but that can interest you. Blue Factory, we are co-founder of an association called La Boussole, which is an association that gathers today 80 incubators and accelerators in France. And in the month of May, we shared a study. We've been working and sharing a study that is entitled what is a successful startup? And then the tagline is success beyond financial valorization. And our study was really to help the ecosystem of entrepreneurship stop comparing companies according to the fundraise, because it's really killing innovation. And today there is when you listen to the media, and everybody is really putting a big emphasis around the fact of raising funds. But what we've shown in the study is that raising funds, first of all, it's a mean. It's a mean that is coherent for certain type of companies. Not all companies needs to have to raise money to accelerate, and we really try to put this money thing at the right place and to open up the understanding of how do you finance the development of your company, the fact that you can also be building a company on the revenue that you are, the turnover that you are building, that there are companies that are 100% owned by the founders and they are super happy of this, because then they have all the value, and also they are like kind of direct, like at the governance of the company. But also you have some funds that are public, so that you can get without giving any equity, and so being the owner again. And then we develop other criteria of quality of a company that I won't go in detail now, but we may share the studies with you. That is one. It's all about what is the innovation, and is the innovation deep or soft. And another one is about social impact. Is the company taking care of the environment on which the company is growing, or does it hide its view on that? And then it's responsible governance. Is like, is the inside of the company, the teams working there and the internal process, are there also done in a very harmonious and sustainable way? So it's a interesting study that really puts in contrast this crazy look that there is today on funds and raising funds. Something that also many of you know, and I will be super fast on this, it's a business model Canva. It's a bit the same than the design thinking model. It's again, as you develop naturally your company, you will for sure take into account these 9 elements that there is in the business model Canva, and you will make it very dynamic and make it move and help you see how you can evolve with your project. But the business model Canva is only the consequence of observing how does an entrepreneur creates. So it's a good map. It's a super vivid map. Be careful or not of not taking it as an exercise that is fixed, but it can help you also. Like, it's a bit like kind of a massage in your project. Like when you use the business model Canva in a good way, it opens ideas and it helps you move forward in your project. This is to speak about your, I would say, personal business model. Often entrepreneurs, they're like, okay, there is something around either I go big or nothing. It's kind of, okay, I am in my job, but I want to create a startup. Shall I quit my job and go build my startup, even though I don't have so many funds, and so I know that then I will have to create revenue in the next 6 months. I think that with this fear and this idea of going 100% or not, that's how we then kill innovation in a way, because you put artificially yourself into a stressed mood where in reality things are evolving naturally. And if at some point you are going to create and be independent, it can take time. And I always take this example of an entrepreneur we've been supporting. She, when she started, she was working. Then at some point, her activity in her innovative company, she started to have her startup that was growing. So she became part-time in her consulting company. And then after 3 years, she finally quits her company because then her startup had been sufficiently grown up, and now she's living in Nantes. Her company is called Localero, but maybe I don't know if the name changed, because I know she she merged with another startup. So Localero, and she's been for 3 years. She was part-time in a consulting company. It was not that easy, but it was good for her because she has then some money, and also what she was doing in this consulting company was not that far from the startup she was building. So yeah, just a message for those of you who would be in this mood of, okay, shall I put myself in danger to move forward? Of course, at some point, it is a way to follow. You cannot follow 2 ways at the same time, but you don't have to jump from the hill to go on the way. You know, it can be done step by step. There is no rule. And so yeah, this about again fundraising. We will share with you more resources during the StartOnline program. But be sure that the investors, they invest on something that has been done, that is real and concrete, and the investors they are there to accelerate often the project. So build first your apple, and once you have your apple, you will see the rest will follow. And I'm thinking just now, there is one of the record of the last year StartOnline program that you may really like with Victor and Anastasia. We will share it with you. I'm almost at the end of this presentation. Some next things to unlock, just to make sure, how do I make myself known? So this is another big topic. Often entrepreneurs from the StartOnline program are like, oh, okay, I have my project, I need to make it known. How do I communicate? Do you think I should invest in Facebook ads and Google ads? If you want to make Facebook and Google reach, of course you should. But if you want your project to be more known, that's unsure. The first thing, but really, and I know it's hard because at the beginning we want to go fast because we compare ourselves and we think that we don't go fast enough and that we are not big enough. But the reality is that the best marketing ever you can have is one person that is able to say, this product, this service, I've been using it, it's amazing, I 100% recommend it because it's a good product, it's a good service, it really helped me, go for it. The only marketing you want is the natural marketing, and I'm not speaking about the comments that you would have and the notes that you would have on Trustpilot or whatever. I'm really speaking about last time we were at dinner, you were just speaking with friends, and at some point in the conversation, you said, oh, last time I tried this thing that was super nice, I really recommend you to go or to use it or to test it. And of course, it can be in a business meeting, if it's a B2B company, and etc. So don't worry yourself, especially at the beginning, to be into this growth hacking, growth marketing, communication, visibility, and etc. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying don't worry about it and care about each and single person that you will interact with and that you will help. That's really what makes all the difference. And I'm often telling this story that I love and that I should learn by heart because I'm so much sharing it that at the end I should learn it. It's a little story that tells this relationship between a king that wanted to be with a woman, and he wanted to have her in his bed. And this woman that was so clever, she said, okay, no problem, I will marry you, but before of that, and there was this chessboard in front of them, before of that you put one rice seed on the first square, 2 rice seed on the second, then 4, then 8, and she multiplied by square, and at the end the king was totally ruined, and she didn't have to marry him. So this is this idea of exponentiality of if you take care of each of these people, maybe it won't be tomorrow, maybe it won't be in 1 year, but you are building something for long lasting that will be super strong, and your baobab will be a beautiful one. However, how do I do myself known? You have to be clear about your specificity, the taste of your solution, the taste of your company, that often is not something you have to invent. It is connected to the snowflake that you are, you know, it is connected to your heart. But as when you go to the bakery, there are several bread, and your first, I imagine myself, if I go to this bakery and I'm speaking with the baker, I would say, okay, what is the difference between those breads? And then the baker will tell me, okay, this one, there is this and that and that. In the end, this is all breads, but there is a difference. So this is the way you can help consumers, clients to choose you, is if you are able to be clear about the taste of what you are creating. About this growth hacking strategy and etc., it is very interesting. It is really not relevant for starting projects. So it's a bit the same than fundraising for acceleration. Growth hacking, growth marketing, it is for growth by definition. It is not for emergency of. It's not for the not emergency. I'm not sure this is okay in English, because in French, like l'émergence, rising. So be careful. Some of them can be helpful, but really, you know, all this automatization that you have the feeling that I'm doing something that is super strong because I did this automatization, so it's sending automatically an email to 1,000 I don't know, director of companies in the media industry, and then when they click on it, it's also making whatever. Anything you want to optimize, super optimize, especially at the beginning, it cannot work, because you are trying to create something new. You are more in an exploration dynamic, and at this moment, trying to automate things, it's an error. And I'm thinking, we have one of the video, it's Michele Cucovillo. He's an alumni, he created 3 startups, and we did a conference with him in London just before the COVID, so 1.5 years ago. And his video on YouTube is super interesting. He's testimonying about this big error when you start a company that is willing to optimize with all these tools that again are made for growth, not for creation. So don't lose time and money with these tools at that moment. It's not the right time to use it, and it's not the right time to build the first steps of the baobab that you are. Beautiful baobab, you see, after the seed up, you will have some cause next to you, and baobab friends a bit further. I think I have 4 slides more and then it's done. Est-ce que je suis en retard? Non, ça va. So about planning, again, many entrepreneurs are like, okay, how do I plan? How do I know the next steps I have to go? And you can have this image of creating something. It's really like walking in a jungle where no one has been before. if you are walking in a jungle where no one has been before, the only thing you can be very sure of is what you can see, let's say 15, 3 meters or dozen of meters around you. And you can only take care of this part. So don't bother yourself, stress yourself thinking, okay, oh my God, what will I do in 3 weeks, in 1 month, in 3 years? I know business plan, people ask you for business plan, people ask you, I mean, not people, often banks or institutions that are really afraid of uncertainty and they want to be reinsured about the fact that the place where they are, the project that they are supporting will for sure be solid. But the reality is that the only thing they can test with a business plan is if the way you think is rational and if you are someone, clever according to their own standards. But the real reality is that you cannot know what will happen in 5 minutes in your life. So of course you cannot plan what will happen in 3 months or 3 years. So you are in the jungle and you can only take care of things that are happening around you. And something that is also interesting is, why is it important not to have preconceived idea about the pace of the way you are walking? Is that, imagine you are in this jungle and you think, okay, I'm going to make 20 kilometers a day. That will be a good pace, and then I will be the first. But if you do that, imagine that in reality, the super treasure or the magic thing to discover is in 5 kilometers. It will be, you will pass next to it because you will have decided that you will walk for 20 kilometers. So that's really an exploration and a discovery of every day when you build a project. And it's again, I'm in this topic of steps. The question is, there is steps after steps. You don't get married before you find a partner. So it's the same when you build your project. It's the same when there is this seed that is growing in you. Don't be worried about what should be. Just follow natural steps. In the jungle, you cannot draw the map before you've been walking the jungle. So you cannot know you cannot plan what will happen next. And the only thing you can do is doing things. It's not being in the thought, but being in the being. My God, being in the being, it's starting to be really poetic, but that's what I'm saying. The difference between thinking about water and drinking water is just, in one case, you are in theory, in the other case, you are in reality. And you drink water when you need water. You not drink because you don't need it. So it's all about being in the present, in the reality, and in a necessity-based movement of creation. Pourquoi ça ne change pas? Okay. Manuela, are you still here?
Yes, I think that the slide went all the way.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm done with what I had to share, and I'm so happy that I am exactly on the timing of what we had said. That's pretty good. So yeah, just to wrap up, as you may have understood, it's, first of all, it's super hard to share all this without having you in front of me, seeing your faces and being able to be with you. But the aim of this first presentation was really, you may have understood, to take the counter step of many preconceived ideas on entrepreneurship, and that's really trial to demystify entrepreneurship that is built on all these years, supporting entrepreneurs, watching entrepreneurs growing. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to check our directory. We have a directory with 300 entrepreneurs that are in our network, and some of them we have been following them around the year. So we really observed the difference between what is said around entrepreneurship and how do people create. And so we wanted to set this StartOnline program on this ground, so that you can have some insight, and that it's just, you know, kind of the beginning of a deep connection and conversation and actions that we can have together. And so I think what we have been building after that, so we created groups according to levels. I don't have the exact figures, but I think you are around 60, Manuela, 60 participants?
Yeah, it's around 60 participants.
74 that I can see in the group. So we are, yeah, that's something like that. And we created, so Manuela, maybe you want to mention a bit the different groups so that they have an idea of what will happen afterward. And then we can put this wonderful video that is so much illustrating what we've been sharing.
So yeah, just for you to have an idea of what's come next. So you will be divided in 10 groups. Those groups have been made regarding at what stage, what advancement you are right now with your project, with the sectors also, with the maturity of it. So it's really different subgroups for you to connect in between with the participants, but also for us to know more about your project. And then there will be 5 subgroups who will be mentored by Abigail, who will be passed on different groups just to know more about you, and you will be free to ask you in between these groups the question that we will show you in the slide just after that.